The battle footage has been reviewed by 7 military councils, and every single one has recommended immediate species quarantine for humans. Admiral Zilax's voice carried across the emergency session chamber like a death sentence. His 4 eyes swept the assembled military command, each officer representing the most decorated warriors of their respective species. The holographic display hovering above the central table showed a frozen frame, a moment of cosmic violence that had ended 180 Devourer warships in 4.7 seconds. Quarantine! General Kael'thas leaned forward, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting the harsh emergency lighting. Admiral, with respect, we're discussing a single individual, a trainee. Are we truly suggesting? We lost 40% of our fleet in the first engagement. Commander Azila's voice was quiet, but it silenced the room. 40%, General. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. 3,000 personnel. The Devourers were hunting us through 3 sectors, and we were calculating acceptable losses for a retreat. Then she stood up. In the corner of the chamber, unnoticed by most of the assembled officers, Olivia Smith adjusted her glasses and continued taking notes. She'd been sitting in the same chair for 6 hours now, watching aliens argue about her like she wasn't there. Pretty standard, really. She'd spent 6 months at the Galactic Coalition Military Academy being similarly invisible. "Play it again," Admiral Zilax commanded. The hologram shifted, rewound. The timestamp showed 48 hours after the disaster at Krell Sector. Coalition forces, 52 operational vessels. Devourer pursuit fleet, 180 warships. The tactical display showed it clearly, a massacre in progress. Coalition ships scattered, shields buckling under sustained fire, commanders screaming evacuation protocols over fleet channels. Then, timestamp 024017, a figure stood up on the bridge of the flagship Resolute Dawn. Olivia watched herself on the screen and winced. God, she really needed to fix her posture. "Enhance Sector 4, Kael'thas ordered. The hologram zoomed. Past Olivia approached the tactical station where Commander Korvax was coordinating what everyone assumed would be their final stand. She could see her own mouth moving. The audio had already been analyzed by linguistic experts, psychological warfare specialists, and 3 different cryptography divisions. "May I make a small suggestion, sir?" 7 words, the most expensive 7 words in coalition military history, according to the Resource Allocation Committee. Commander Korvax's testimony states he granted authorization because, quote, "We were dying anyway, and something in her eyes had changed." Azila read from her data pad. He said she wasn't the timid trainee anymore. "Timid," Zilax repeated, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement or horror. Let's review her academy records. A new display materialized, Olivia's training jacket. She remembered most of it, remembered being aggressively average at everything they'd tested her on. Military Strategy Course, Professor Vexthul. Student demonstrates adequate comprehension of basic tactical principles. However, shows limited initiative and appears uncomfortable with aggressive scenarios. Recommendation: support roles only. Combat simulation results. Average score, 67%. Student follows orders competently, but shows no independent strategic thinking. Notable: declined to participate in advanced wargame finals, citing ethical concerns with scenario parameters. Physical assessment: mid-tier performance across all categories. Suitable for standard duty but unlikely to excel in high-stress combat situations. Instructor notes: Commander R. Hill. Smith asks unusual questions that suggest fundamental misunderstanding of military doctrine. Example: why don't you just talk to them first? Query was in context of responding to hostile fleet action. Cultural disconnect suspected. She was nobody, Kael'thas said slowly. For 6 months, She sat in the back of every class, scored adequately on every test, and asked questions that made her seem naive, Azila finished. Harmless. Frankly, most instructors found her presence irritating. She'd interrupt tactical discussions to ask if anyone had tried being nice, or if there were feelings we should consider. Olivia bit her lip to keep from smiling. Yeah, she'd laid it on pretty thick. Continue the footage, Zilax ordered. The hologram jumped forward, past Olivia at the tactical station studying the display. 15 seconds of silence while coalition ships died around her. Then she turned to Commander Korvax and made 3 requests. Drop all shields. The chamber erupted. Half the officers present had already seen this footage, but it didn't matter. The visceral wrongness of the command made them react anyway. She ordered them to drop shields, General Jitaro said, his voice hollow. In the middle of combat, against an enemy that outnumbered them 3-1. And disable weapon safeties, Azila added, which violates 16 different coalition regulations, risks catastrophic systems failure, and could have resulted in court-martial for everyone involved. And then, Zilax said quietly, she asked for communications access to the enemy fleet. The hologram showed it happening, coalition shields dropping, devourer ships surging forward, sensing the kill. Every tactical instinct in the room screamed that this was suicide. Olivia opened a channel. The hologram's audio kicked in, her voice translated into devourer battle cant by the ship's systems. You've won. We surrender, requesting terms for crew evacuation. The chamber fell silent. On screen, the devourer fleet slowed. Not stopped. Their momentum carried them forward, but their firing patterns changed. Confused. Prey species didn't surrender. Prey species fought until they died. That was the natural order. We'll transmit our command codes and power down weapons, past Olivia continued, her voice steady, professional, defeated. Just give us 60 seconds to prepare the transmission. Please. Please. She'd said, please. The devourers clustered, Kael'thas narrated, though everyone could see it. Standard formation for accepting surrender. They moved to surround the coalition fleet, weapons still hot but holding fire. They wanted the ships intact, wanted prisoners for their war factories. 60 seconds. On the hologram, coalition vessels drifted into what looked like a scattered retreat formation. Broken, defeated. Ships listing, some venting atmosphere, all of them apparently preparing to transmit their surrender. 59 seconds. Past Olivia's hand hovered over the tactical display. Notice the formation, Azila said, her voice almost reverent. We've had 17 strategic analysts review it. It's not random. Every ship is positioned at an exact point in 3-dimensional space. A geometric firing solution, Jitaro breathed. Perfect convergence. But that would require calculating trajectories for 52 ships simultaneously while under fire, predicting enemy movement, and... She did it in 15 seconds, Zilax interrupted, while our best tactical AIs need 4 minutes for similar calculations. The timestamp hit, Euro 4117, exactly 60 seconds after Olivia had requested time. She gave the signal. 52 coalition ships fired simultaneously. Weapons safeties disabled meant 300% normal power output. The firing pattern created what human physicists called a convergence cascade, overlapping energy fields that amplified each other geometrically. 180 Devourer warships occupied the kill zone. 4.7 seconds later, they were gone. Not destroyed. Gone. Vaporized so completely that debris analysis teams found molecular traces only, 0 coalition casualties. By every military doctrine we possess, Zilax said into the shocked silence, this should not have been possible. She used tactical deception. She lied. Lied, Kael'thas repeated. In warfare, the concept doesn't exist in our training protocols. It exists in theirs. Azila pulled up a new display, Human military history. 10,000 years of warfare. The data made several officers physically recoil. Database search returned this quote from their ancient strategist, Sun Tzu: "All warfare is based on deception." All warfare, Jotaro whispered. Not some, not exceptional circumstances. All. They've been doing this for their entire civilization, Azila continued. Trojan horses, false retreats, feints, ambushes disguised as negotiations. They have a term for pretending to be weak when you're strong. It's called strategy. They teach it to their children. Admiral Zilax's mandibles clicked rapidly, his species equivalent of distressed laughter. For 6 months, she sat in our classes, asked naive questions, scored adequately, made us think she was harmless. She was assessing us, Kael'thas said slowly. The realization was spreading through the room like poison. Every stupid question was a test. Why don't you just talk to them first? She was checking if we'd reveal that we consider negotiation dishonorable during combat. Has anyone tried being nice? She was confirming we follow rigid engagement protocols. She learned every single one of our tactical blind spots, Azila said, and we taught them to her, explicitly, because we thought she was too stupid to be a threat. In her corner, Olivia finally allowed herself a small smile, not quite, but close enough. Where is she? Zilax demanded suddenly. Smith was ordered to attend this session for testimony. Admiral, Azila said carefully, she's been here the entire time. Every head in the chamber turned. Olivia raised her hand in a small wave. Oh, she said cheerfully. Hey. Sorry, you guys seemed busy. Didn't want to interrupt. The silence was deafening. Admiral Zilax stared at her for a long moment. How long have you been sitting there? About 6 hours? I got here when you started. Olivia checked her watch. Actually, 6 hours and 17 minutes. You guys really like to talk through things, huh? You've been listening to 6 hours of military council debating whether your species represents an existential threat to galactic security, Kael'thas said slowly, and you didn't think to speak up? Olivia shrugged. You didn't ask me anything. I was just observing. That's what you assigned me to do, remember? Cultural observer. Explain your actions during the Krell sector engagement, Zilax ordered, his voice tight. Oh, sure. Olivia stood, stretching. God, her back hurt. So, you guys were getting massacred, right? And Commander Korvax was super stressed. Nice guy, by the way. We got coffee a few times, and I figured maybe I could help. By ordering them to drop shields. Well, yeah. The Devourers were targeting your shield generators anyway. You were losing ships because they'd concentrate fire, pop the shields, then destroy the ship. Seemed inefficient. Inefficient, Azila repeated faintly. So I thought, what if we just skip the middle part? Drop the shields voluntarily, make them think they've already won. Then they'd cluster up to accept the surrender, because that's what you guys said they always do in the tactical briefings, remember? Week 4, Tuesday session, Professor Vexthul's lecture on Devourer psychology. Several officers checked their data pads. She was right. It had been in the lecture. And the weapon safeties? Kael'thas asked. Needed more power for the firing solution. Physics is physics, guys. You can't create a convergence cascade with standard power output. I mean, you could, but you'd need like 200 ships and we only had 52. You calculated a convergence cascade, Zilax said, in 15 seconds. Olivia blinked. Was that fast? I'm not great at math, honestly. I just kind of looked at where everyone was and where the bad guys would be if they did the predictable thing and worked backward from there. The predictable thing, Jotaro said. You predicted their movement. Well, yeah. You guys told me Devourers always cluster for surrender acceptance. You told me they consider it dishonorable to fire on surrendering enemies. You literally gave me their entire playbook. Olivia laughed. I wasn't trying to be sneaky. You just kept telling me exactly how everyone fights. The horror of it settled over the chamber. You were serious, Azila said slowly, when you asked if we'd tried being nice during combat scenarios. Yeah, because you hadn't. You guys fight like, I don't know, like there are rules, like everyone agreed on how wars work and you all just follow the same script. There are rules, Zilak said, his voice strained. Military engagement protocols have governed warfare for thousands of years. Honor, direct confrontation, declared hostilities, formal surrender procedures. Olivia stared at him. Oh my God, you weren't kidding about that? Kidding? I thought that was like, propaganda, like, we're the good guys so we fight nice kind of thing. I didn't realize you actually only did honorable combat. She started laughing. Holy shit, that explains so much. No wonder you guys were losing to the Devourers. They're assholes, but at least they don't handicap themselves. We don't consider honor a handicap, Kel'Thas said stiffly. Yeah, well, the 3,000 people who died in the first engagement might disagree. Olivia's humor faded. Look, I'm not trying to be a jerk. Your way of fighting is... It's noble, I guess. It's just not very effective when the other guy doesn't care about noble. And human warfare? Zilax asked. How do humans fight? Olivia thought about it. We lie. We cheat. We stab people in the back and then act surprised when they get mad about it. We've fought wars where both sides claim to be the good guys. We've had soldiers dress up as the enemy to sneak behind their lines. We've faked retreats to lure people into traps. We've pretended to surrender to get close enough to attack. We've done basically every sneaky, underhanded, dishonorable thing you can imagine. The chamber was silent. And you knew this, Azila said quietly, when you enrolled in the academy. I mean, yeah, I'm a substitute gym teacher from Wisconsin, but I watch a lot of history documentaries. I figured everyone fought like we did. Olivia paused. Actually, that's not true. I figured you guys fought worse than we did. Because you're aliens, right? You've got better tech. You've been doing this longer. I assumed you'd be way more ruthless than humans. You assumed we'd be more deceptive than you, Jotaro said. Well, yeah. Turns out you're all basically space paladins. Olivia grinned. Which is sweet, honestly. Kind of refreshing, but probably why you were losing the war. Were, Zilax noted. Oh, right. The Devourers sued for peace this morning, didn't they? Yeah, I saw that memo. Makes sense. They can't strategize against an enemy that doesn't follow predictable patterns. Admiral Zilax stood slowly. Smith, what you did in Krell Sector saved thousands of lives, possibly prevented our defeat in this war. The Coalition owes you a tremendous debt. Cool. Can I go home? You want to return to Earth? Dude, the coffee here tastes like metal shavings, and I miss my students. Olivia checked her watch again. Plus, I've got paperwork to file for my observer assignment, and I'm pretty sure my apartment plants are dead by now. The military command is prepared to offer you a position as strategic consultant, Azila said. Name your terms. I'm good, thanks. I really just want to go back to teaching middle school gym. You want to teach children, Kel'Thas said slowly, after demonstrating that you're potentially the most dangerous military mind in Coalition space. Olivia laughed. Dude, I'm not a military mind. I just suggested something obvious. You guys did all the work. And besides, she grabbed her bag, started toward the door. You don't need me. Now you know humans use deception tactics. Just study our history. There's like 10,000 years of material. We've documented every dirty trick we've ever pulled. Wait, Zilax held up a hand. Before you go. One question. Sure. When you asked all those naive questions during training, when you scored adequately but not impressively on simulations, when you sat in the back and appeared to barely understand the material. His 4 eyes fixed on her. Were you deliberately hiding your capabilities? Olivia considered this. Honestly? No, I really didn't understand your military doctrine. It's super weird to me. All the honor stuff, the formal procedures, the predictable tactics. I asked questions because I was confused why you fought that way. But you never corrected our assumption that you were incompetent. You never asked if I was, Olivia smiled. You just assumed the quiet human in the back row had nothing to teach you. Which is cool. I'm used to being underestimated. I'm a substitute gym teacher. People underestimate me all the time. She headed for the door, then paused. Oh, one more thing. You guys might want to start teaching your soldiers that the enemy won't always play fair, because humans aren't the only species out there. We're just the only ones you've met so far who fight dirty. But we probably won't be the last. The door closed behind her. 6 months later, Olivia Smith stood in the Wilson Middle School gymnasium, organizing dodgeballs into their storage container. The afternoon sun slanted through the high windows, making dust motes dance in the air. Ms. Smith, a student approached, Marcus Chen, 8th grade, too smart for his own good. Is it true you were in space? Yep, Olivia tossed him a ball. Put that away, would you? Did you really win a war? Olivia laughed. I made a suggestion. They did the work. Now give me 20 push-ups for asking questions during cleanup time. Marcus groaned but dropped to the floor. That's not fair. Life's not fair, kiddo. That's lesson 1. She sat on the bleachers, watching the students clean up equipment. From here, she was just another teacher. Unremarkable, easy to overlook. Most people never look twice at the quiet gym teacher in the back of the staff meetings. Her phone buzzed. Classified message from Coalition Command. She deleted it without reading. They'd sent 47 messages in the last 6 months. She'd ignored all of them. They wanted her to teach a course on human warfare theory, wanted her to consult on tactical doctrine revision, wanted her to explain how humans thought, how they fought, how they lied so effectively. But Olivia knew something they hadn't figured out yet. Something she'd learned in 15 years of teaching middle school. The best way to understand people was to let them underestimate you, to sit quietly in the back, to watch, to listen, to learn every single thing they were willing to tell you about themselves. The Galactic Coalition had spent 6 months teaching her everything they knew about warfare, tactics, and strategic thinking. They'd handed her the complete playbook for every species in known space. They'd done it because they'd looked at her and seen someone harmless. They'd never asked the right question: what does a substitute gym teacher from Wisconsin need with alien military doctrine? The answer, of course, was simple. She didn't need it, but Earth's military command had been very interested in her reports. Olivia smiled, watching her students argue over dodgeball rules, and thought about the classified memo she'd sent before leaving Coalition space. The one suggesting that maybe, just maybe, Earth should consider joining the Galactic Coalition. Not as a junior partner, not as a species that needed protection, as the species that could teach everyone else how to survive. The killer instinct had been there all along. They just never looked. Marcus finished his push-ups. Ms. Smith, when you were in space, were you scared? Olivia considered this. Nah, mostly I was bored. Space is really boring, Marcus. Lots of sitting around in meetings where people talk in circles for hours. That sounds awful. It really was. She stood, tossing her whistle. Okay, everyone. Dismissed. And remember, next week we're starting the unit on strategic team sports. I'll be dividing you into groups and teaching you some new games. The students filed out, chattering about their evening plans. Olivia sat alone in the gym, unnoticed by the custodian who came in to sweep, just like always, exactly how she preferred it. Her phone buzzed again, another classified message. She smiled and deleted it. They still didn't understand. The most dangerous warriors weren't the ones who announced themselves. They were the ones who sat in the back row, taking notes, asking naive questions, and learning everything you were willing to teach them. The ones you never noticed until it was far too late. Outside, the Wisconsin sun set over suburban streets, and Olivia Smith went home to water her plants and grade papers. Just another unremarkable teacher in an unremarkable town, exactly where she wanted to be.